The title of today's sutta is Anuruddha Mahavitakka Sutta. Anuruddha is the name of a monk, the Buddha's first cousin. And he's one of those great arhats. He comes from a very well-to-do family, the Sakya family. And when the Buddha visited Kapilavatthu the first time, he decided to join the Sangha, become a monk. And so this is his practice. Mahavitakka. Maha means great. Vitakka, thoughts. The thoughts of a great man. The word great man, Mahapurisa, is here used by the Buddha to refer to someone who is doing this practice to attain arhathood. That's the great man. Otherwise in the Indian history, the Mahapurisa refers to this special person who will either become Buddha or become a world ruler, world conqueror like Alexander the Great. So if he stays home, he's going to be this great king, this wheel turner, as he is called. The wheel is the wheel of the empire. If he renounces the world, he'll become a world teacher. So this was the belief in the Buddha's time. And but here the Maha is used in a Buddhist sense to represent this great person who has renounced the world and is practicing to become a truly great person in being a renunciant and becoming awakened like the Buddha himself. Here this Anuruddha, he thinks, he reflects on 8 thoughts or 8 reflections, which kind of defines this arhat or this person who's renounced, who's practicing towards this path. Sutta, of course, means teaching. It means a thread, a teaching that goes right back to the Buddha himself. That is the main reason why I really enjoy teaching suttas for the last 20 years, in fact, much longer than before. I mean, even before that, I was reading suttas. I've always wanted to know, what did the Buddha teach? So suttas are the best sources of the Buddha's original, authentic teachings. So you have the name there. Oh, there is a comma there, Mahavitakka. Imagine this Pali word. Some Pali words can be very long. They're like German words, compounds. So I've put in this. Originally, I used a dot, a full stop, but then we have this system called a Veltius system. A Dutchman introduced this using a dot for Pali. So I switched to using a comma. So Maha is one component of the phrase, of the compound, and Vitakka is another component. Vitakka the word taka means thought, actually. Vitakka is like to think in a broader way. Not to be more exact. Vitakka is when we direct our mind towards the object, the mental object. And then there is another word that pairs with it called vichara. Vichara is where you keep your focus on that mental object. So vitakka, vichara, you cannot go together, especially in meditation in the first jhana. And the next line, the Anuruddha Discourse on the Great Thoughts, right? So that's the translation. And so either you remember the title of the sutta, Anuruddha Mahavitakka Sutta, or if you like numbers, you can remember A8.30. Okay. However, do be aware, sometimes the numbering do differ depending on traditions, how the suttas are counted or kind of divided up, because sometimes the suttas can be very long. And we don't have the, like modern punctuations like in English. The Pali doesn't have all that. In fact, in Thailand, when I was there, when I was reading their scripture, the Pali suttas, you have this end-to-end line without any stops or commas. but you learn to know where the breaks are. There are certain words like ti. For example, you say Buddho ti, so that the ti means is ending of a sentence. You can more or less know that way. So the Thais are quite used to that. And apparently Bhikkhu Bodhi find it difficult, and he totally ignores the whole of the Siamese tradition, that the Thai Tipitaka is not used at all in his translations. And then that makes such a great disadvantage in his translation. He uses the Burmese, the Sinhalese, and the English, the PTS text. He doesn't use the Siamese text, which is rather sad. So that is the Pali tradition. And A, of course, Anguttara Nikaya, the numbered teachings meant for lay people. The 8 is the book of 8 octets, 8 things, sets of 8, and point 30, Sutta number 30. All right, so there you are. That is a bit of introduction for you to help you remember the sutta. All right. Okay, let's go into the sutta translation itself. There are lots of notes for you to read on your own as you explore the sutta and become more familiar with it. Okay, Anuruddha Mahavitakka Sutta, the Anuruddha Discourse on the Great Thoughts, A 8.30. Now, all these headings I've added in myself in the tradition of the Sutta Discovery series, so it makes us easier for us to know more or less what the section is about. The 7, okay, notice the 7 thoughts of a great man. So the sutta opens with Anuruddha reflecting on 7 thoughts. Why 7? We'll find out in a while. At one time, the Blessed One was staying in a deer park in the Bisakala forest at Sung Sumaragira in the Baga country. So this is some far away, remote area in northern India. Now, these Indian suttas, Buddhist suttas, Pali suttas, normally begin with this, at one time, ekang samayang. Here, unlike the Chinese texts tend to record down to the hour of the translation, for example. But here in the Indian tradition, the idea of at one time is a kind of eternal connection we have with the truth, so to speak. It's like, yes, at one time the Buddha spoke this long ago, 2,500 years ago. But now when we look at it again, it's like the Buddha is talking to us again. We are listening to the Buddha again, so to speak. So that's the meaning of this at one time. It's always there waiting for you. And whenever you're ready, you look at the sutta, and that is the time, that at one time. And that's the time when you're one with this wonderful teaching. Your mind is focused. There is only this one teaching. There's only this one Buddha. You don't need more than that. And there's only one of you, so to speak. So that is about self-reliance. You can practice yourself. And in fact, that's the way you do it. We are early Buddhism is very different from the theistic religions that remind us, or that kind of warn us, no, you're not good enough, you need someone else. But the Buddha does just the opposite. You are the one. You do it yourself. You understand yourself. You let go of the self. So this at one time is this beautiful, very deep meaning. Then there is the teacher. So there's the time, and then there's the teacher, the Blessed One is present. And he was staying in the deer park in the Bisakala forest. Now, you notice some translators would put capital letters, deer park. I don't think the Indians, the Buddhist time, actually gave those kind of names to those places. They just, it's a deer park, so they refer to it as a deer park. And there are many deer parks in India. There is one, the most famous one is the one at Saranath. This is the one in the Bisakala forest, which is way outside Saranath. And this is in the place called Sungsumara Gira. No? Now, Sungsumara is another word for crocodile. So imagine this place was really remote, crocodiles. And the people there are called Bhaga. Okay, so the Buddha was there, and Anuruddha also here. Anuruddha was on his own practicing. Now, at one time, the venerable Anuruddha was staying in the Eastern Bamboo Deer Park, Pachina Wangsa Daya. Pachina means east, Wangsa means bamboo, Daya Park, amongst the Chetty people. So this is called Chetty country. Then during his solitary retreat, these thoughts came to his mind. So he was meditating, and while he's meditating, this kind of thoughts on the teaching, on the Dharma arise in his mind. Okay, let's find out. Let's go down a bit more. See what are those thoughts. Okay, here you are. So here there are 7 thoughts that arises to him while he was after his meditation. This, of course, is outside of his meditation. If he is in jhana, he wouldn't be thinking. He'd be kind of in a very blissful, happy state, very focused mind. So here, coming out of his meditation, he feels this wonderful peace, this joyful state, and these wonderful thoughts came to him. This Dharma, this practice, this teaching is for one of few wishes. Well, he's a monk, he's a renunciant. He has let go of the world, one with few wishes, not for one with many wishes. You won't be happy as a monk if you have many wishes. This Dharma is for the contented, not for the discontented. Okay. Now you see this strange number here. This is the Pali page of the PTS edition, Pali Text Society, page 20, page 229. Of course, there is the volume also. If you look at the top line of your notes, you find that it's volume 4, page 229. So it's just as a guide for those who want to check the translation. Okay. So then the third thought came to him. This Dharma is for one in solitude, for the reclusive, not for one who delights in socializing. Now, Buddhism is not antisocial. I mean, the Buddha is not antisocial. On the contrary, you find him talking with a lot of people, and Buddhism is the world's first missionary religion. When there were 60 arhats, the Buddha sent them out in different directions to present his teaching to the people, and brought back many converts, many new monks, and he got them ordained. So he talks to the poorest of the people, to the kings, and so on. So he does socialize, but he does not socialize in a sense of losing himself in talk and so on. That there's always this idea of teaching the Dharma. There's always something there to enrich the life of the listener. So here, the idea of solitude is not, again, it's not a kind of hating people, just keeping away because we don't like people. It's not like that. It's kind of rising above the crowd. We just do not want to get lost in the crowd. The crowd swallows us, owns us, and so much so that we learn to, we just stop thinking. We just follow what people say and people do, and you won't be creative that way. That's one thing. But here you won't be mentally free if you're caught up in that kind of crowded life. So here, the recluse is this person who wants to stay by himself so that he knows himself really well until he's liberated in that sense. Right? So he delights in this solitude with nature so that he's able to look at himself really clearly and directly and kind of build himself up to rise beyond the senses which control our lives, the freedom mind, and with the free mind to look into true reality and see what it really is. So that's what solitude here means. For this Dharma is for one who puts forth effort, right, for the energetic, not for the indolent, not for the lazy, right? So here, meditation may appear as if we're doing nothing, and that's far from true. Because if you meditate, you find, for example, a lot of thoughts may come, pains arise, and so on. Of course, if you get into a really wonderful state, you don't feel all this. You don't feel the body anymore, or at least for a while. So here, to put in effort here means to direct the mind to the meditation object. And that is the initial application with vitakka. And then you keep the mind there, right? Vichara. Sometimes the word mindfulness is used. You're mindful of the breath, and then you're aware of it. That means you keep on watching the breath. So these pair of words, they work like that, right? So you have vitakka, vichara, and then you have sati, sampajañña. You have sati, mindfulness and awareness. So here, the meditator is one who puts forth effort in a normal physical way by preparing his place so that it is conducive to meditation and mental peace. And then there is this internal preparation, clearing the mind of thoughts, directing the mind to focus on the mental object, letting go other thoughts, just watching the breath, for example. Now, why is the breath so special? The simple answer is it is there. It's always there, so to speak. And as you watch the breath, you notice if you do it properly, the breath slows down. It becomes more peaceful. And that's what's so wonderful about the breath. The breath begins as a physical or bodily experience. It is the body, part of the body, as wind, as air, if you like. But as you watch this breath, as you let go of the body, that's how we are putting it, you let go of the seeing, hearing, touching, and so on, the senses. You watch, you keep on watching the breath. The breath slows down. The breath is lightening up and lighting up. In other words, the breath is letting go of all the senses and the world, and the breath also is beginning to brighten up. So the word light is got both senses here. Light in the sense of losing weight, and light in the sense of becoming bright. It's a very beautiful understanding here when you go into meditation. So you watch the breath, and then in the fourth stage of your breath meditation, if you do it properly, this breath has become a mental phenomenon, a mental state. So it's very peaceful, right? So this breath is a great meditation object because it can switch from the body to the mind. And that's how you use it, go beyond to feel more peaceful, to reach jhanas and really calm the mind, and then come out from jhana with this wonderful calm and clear mind and look at impermanence really clearly. So this effort is in that direction, okay? And this effort goes on to help you to the fifth reflection. This Dharma is for one who establishes mindfulness, right? The mind is focused on this one clear object, not for one of confused mind. So you keep on focusing this mind on just this one breath coming in and going out. And what happens? 1 to 6. This Dharma is for one in samadhi, mental concentration, not for one without samadhi. So this is the result of that focus. The mind looks at itself, if you like. The mind sees itself. A kind of reflexive consciousness, if you like. It's like when you look into the mirror and you see yourself. So there's the samadhi is that kind of self-awareness, this really beautiful single-mindedness, and the mind becomes calm and clear. What does calm, what does clear mean here? Calm, samatha. That's when the mind is free from the senses, from seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and so on. That the mind is all on its own, very happy, very free, and so it becomes calm, not excited and carried away by all those senses and sensations. So here you have this calmness, and when it's like you have this big jug of muddy water you just scoop from this muddy stream, and then you just leave it alone in the corner for a while, and then over the night, next morning you look at it, the water has the debris has settled and the water is very clear. So the mind is something like that. So in your meditation, all these thoughts have settled and the mind becomes very clear. To put very simply, you can think well, you can write well, you can speak well, you act well. But the most important thing is you're able to see directly into true reality. And that brings insight, sight into true reality, or sight through the veneer that hides reality. Right? You begin to see the true nature of things. That is insight, that is wisdom. So you have calm and insight. These are the two aspects of Buddhist meditation. And when you combine these two, you get number 7. The Dharma is for the wise, not for the foolish. The foolish get caught up with the world, running around with the world, dragged around by the world. But here the wise sees the world as it is, smiles at it, enjoys it. The wise enjoys nature, it's this beautiful nature, the sounds of the birds and the animals in the jungle. You find in the Therigata, you find those monks, they enjoy this peacefulness of the forest. All right, so these are the 7 thoughts that Anuruddha was thinking about. So he kind of stopped there, and he doesn't know what to do beyond the 7 thoughts. Now we've gone to 2, verse 2. Now the Blessed One, having known with his own mind the thoughts in Anuruddha's mind, just as a strong man would stretch his flexed arm, or would flex his stretched arm, vanished from the deer park in the Bisakala forest at Sumsumaragira in the Baga country, and reappeared before the Venerable Anuruddha in the eastern bamboo deer park in Jeti country. So they're in 2 different places here. So here you often have this story of these great arhats who are meditating, and then it kind of gets stuck, and then the Buddha is like monitoring them and appearing to them just at the right time, and then guiding them, giving that last step so that they clear themselves and they attain arhathood after that. So here the Buddha appears to Anuruddha to give him the 8th reflection, right? So we're coming to that in a moment. So now notice that the next heading is the 8 thoughts of the great man. Okay. 2.2. The Blessed One, sat on the prepared seat. So here you find wherever the monks are, even in the remote forest, they will have a special seat ready for the Buddha if he comes. He may come anytime, right, so to speak. So the Buddha sits there. And I think this is the idea how we today have a shrine. So originally the idea of a shrine is a spot to welcome the Buddha when he arrives, and so we can listen to his teaching and so on. So we have this little shrine to represent that's where the Buddha will sit when it comes to visit us, so to speak, if you are a monk in the Buddha's time. The Venerable Anuruddha saluted the Blessed One and then sat down at one side. Here again, notice at one side. Now we today, we would sit right before the teacher. But if you notice certain traditional monks, they would sit at one side, at the side rather than in front of the teacher. I think the idea here is this space in front of the teacher, the Buddha, is always open, and anyone can just come and also come and see the Buddha, whereas you would sit on the Buddha's side, either on the left side or right side, and talk to him that way. So others also benefit from the meeting, from the interview. So these people come to see the Buddha, they're always sitting at one side, Ekamantang. Siddhartha at one side, the Blessed One said this to the Venerable Anuruddha. Sadhu, sadhu. Sadhu means good, excellent. Anuruddha. It is good that you, Anuruddha, have thought about the 7 thoughts of the great man. Thus, this Dharma is for one of your wishes, not for one with many wishes. This Dharma is for the contented, not for the discontented. This Dharma is for one in solitude, for the reclusive, not for one who delights in socializing. This Dharma is for one who puts forth effort, for the energetic, not for the indolent or the lazy. The Dharma is for one who establishes mindfulness, not for one of confused mind. This Dharma is for one in samadhi or mental concentration, not for one without samadhi. This Dharma is for the wise, not for the foolish. Now, so here you notice again this beautiful oral tradition. They have a way of repeating the important passages so that the audience, the listeners, will have a chance to hear the key teachings being repeated. So remember, in those days, they do not have all these printed materials that what we do now. Ours now is the scribal tradition, the printed tradition, the reading tradition, whereas in the centuries of the Buddha's time and after the Buddha's time, people listen directly to the teacher. So you want to learn, you go directly to the teacher, you listen to the teacher, you don't just read. So that way, the teacher will look at you and see that you don't only learn things of the books and scripture, but you also change yourself. You're ready to understand the Dharma. So the Dharma is not about knowing things. In fact, you find today the Buddhist canon, the scriptures are available. The whole collection is available in so many traditions. I have in my computer, for example, at least two or three versions, one Burmese, and now I have the Thai version. It's all there. You just click it and you get the whole Tripitaka opens up to you. It's amazing. And you can get the Pali word and then the commentary and then the sub-commentary, even the translation. So you find it's in a sense, you have a lot of materials to work with. And so you only need to kind of love the Pali and learn it, and then you find all this material, all these tools are very helpful. So in the oral tradition, you listen, and then you follow, you respect the teacher tells you what to do, and so on. And you go through this change. You become a peaceful person, and this wisdom grows inside you. So that's called spiritual friendship, when the teacher guides you through your meditation, and then you grow and awaken in your own time. So now Anuruddha is ready, and the Buddha is going to tell him what the eighth thought, eighth reflection should be. So now the Buddha tells Anuruddha the eighth thought of the great man. Now, Anuruddha, reflect on this eighth thought of the great man too. Thus, this Dharma is for one who rejoices in the non-proliferation of the mind, who delights in the non-proliferation of the mind, not for one who rejoices in mental proliferation, who delights in mental proliferation. So here you have this word, papancha. Papancha means mental proliferation. Okay. Proliferation is a big word. A simple word would be explosion in a figurative sense. Thought explosion, lots of thoughts and ideas, all right? So that you're not focused. Of course, sometimes a lot of thoughts and ideas are good if you're a writer, but not in meditation, right? So papancha is a very interesting word. You have the word pancha. Pancha means five. Pa is like it reifies. I mean, it kind of reinforces this word, five. You know? So the five, of course, refer to the five physical senses, and the mind kind of gets lost in it. So you have this five keep appearing in our heads, and we are lost in thoughts. So proliferation means you're lost in thoughts. Non-proliferation means letting go of the thoughts, and they're not going to trouble you, and your mind's very clear. This doesn't mean that you don't experience any thoughts. The thoughts are always there, so to speak. That's why we dream, for example. So this person who's meditating will notice the thoughts coming, going, like a crowd. Like you're standing on beside this busy road, and you notice the cars passing by and people walking, but you are not carried away by them. You just watch, and then you go your way. Okay. So this eighth thought for Anuruddha is that we learn to let go of all this worldly aspect of the senses, and the mind is free of the senses. And what happens when the mind is free? We come to the four dhyanas, four jhanas. This is the next section. Let's go down further. Let's go down now. Okay, there you are, the four jhanas. Then Anuruddha, when you have thought over these eight thoughts of the great man, secluded from sensual pleasures, notice, secluded from the senses, yeah? Eye, nose, tongue, body, and mind, secluded from unwholesome states, greed, hate, delusion, you let go of them. Whenever you wish, you may enter and dwell in the first dhyana. Okay, the first jhana, I'm using an English word here, dhyana, because you can find this word in the dictionary. Accompanied by initial application and sustained application. There you are, vitakka, vichara. Initial application, vitakka, sustained application, vichara. Or if you like, initial application, mindfulness, sustained application, awareness in daily life especially. Accompanied by zest and happiness. So zest is this bubbly joy when you meditate. You feel so good, you feel so happy, you feel like jumping, you feel like flying. Happiness is more calm and very peaceful. And this arises from seclusion. Seclusion here means freedom from the senses. This is the meaning of seclusion. Samadhi is not mentioned here yet. So the first dhyana is like kind of the beginning of this wonderful calmness, all right? And then Anuruddha, when you have thought over these eight thoughts of the great man, with the stealing of the initial application and sustained application, notice stilling, okay? So these eight thoughts are to help him help us in our meditation, right? So here, Anuruddha is the Buddha is teaching him the jhanas. So Buddha says, okay, so first jhana, now second jhana. In the second jhana, you calm down this thinking and this initial application and sustained application. The thinking parts of the meditation is becoming subtler, and even less, and then disappear altogether. And then you come to the second jhana, when both initial application and sustained application are gone, free from initial application and sustained application, accompanied by zest and happiness born of concentration. Notice here, accompanied by zest and happiness born of seclusion, accompanied by zest and happiness born of concentration. So in the case of the first jhana, the person, the meditator, frees himself from the five hindrances arising through the five senses and the mind. Now, in the case of second jhana, the mind is already focused in samadhi, and the meditator is very happy, very joyful. So again, in jhanas, you find there is this letting go of the jhana factors. There are less and less things, like a hot air balloon. You let go of the sandbags, and the mind becomes more focused, the mind goes up higher. Now, third jhana, with the fading away of zest. Notice here, fading away of zest, right? Zest is the bubbly joy. So this is the interesting thing. The bubbly joy settles down and become more peaceful happiness, sukha, okay? And that's the third jhana, of which the noble ones declare, happily he dwells in equanimity and mindfulness. So it's mental peace. And he dwells equanimous, mindful, and clearly aware, and experience happiness with the body. Here, with the body means he himself experiences it. This is total joyful feeling inside him. And then he goes on to the fourth jhana. Then, Anuruddha, when you have thought over these 8 thoughts of the great man, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, all feelings are renounced, and the earlier disappearance of joy and grief. Pleasure and pain is physical, joy and grief are mental. Then whenever you wish, you may enter and dwell in the fourth dhyana, that is neither pleasant nor painful, with the mindfulness fully purified by equanimity. So for jhana is totally calm, balanced, peaceful. Right? Now the Buddha is going to something really beautiful. The Buddha is showing how a person who meditates will be truly happy with the simple things of life, the benefits of dhyana. Let's go down further. Benefits of dhyana. 8. Then Anuruddha, when you have thought over these 8 thoughts of the great man, you will attain these 4 dhyanas pertaining to the higher mind, without difficulty, without trouble, dwelling in comfort here and now. So this is often said of jhana, of the meditator, they dwell in comfort, they dwell happily here and now. You see them happy, smiling. Then Anuruddha, just as how a wardrobe full of variously dyed clothes of a householder or a householder's son would seem to them. Okay, look at this metaphor again. A householder or householder's son looking at their wardrobe of dyed clothes. Okay, they have these beautiful clothes, and so happy. They say, "Wow, look at my clothes!" Right? They're very happy. This is the householder, the layman, the non-meditator. Even so, here's the meditator. A dust heap robe or rag robe will be to you. You will dwell contented for the delight, the relief, and comfort of disembarking into nirvana. Right? So here the Buddha is saying something so beautiful, it's so simple. It tells Anuruddha, when you attain jhana, you'll be so happy. Just as a householder looks at his range of clothes, he's so happy. Now you look at your rag robe, you're so happy. You say, "Oh, look at that. My dress is so simple. I'm so happy." Just like Mahakassapa also, he's very happy with his rag robe. The Buddha offered to give him good robes. The Buddha tells Mahakassapa, "Say, you are old, Mahakassapa. Why don't you and you're wearing this heavy old rag robes. Why don't you wear the new soft robes people given by the lady devotees? But Kassapa says, I've been wearing this for decades. I'm used to it, and he's very happy with it. The Buddha purposely says that to make him say it so that it becomes a sutta, right? And I've posted this summary of what I just said onto the Facebook on the Buddha's conversation with the Mahakassapa. All right, so here Anuruddha is told he's going to be very happy with his right robe when he attains jhana. Okay, so what next now? Further down, please. Yes. Okay, 9. Okay, so all this you see italics part, they are repeated from earlier. Basically, this repeated part says, the Buddha says, once you have the 8 thoughts, you attain jhana easily, you can meditate. And then, now remember the first mention just now is about food, about rope, sorry. First thing about rope, now is about food, the 4 supports of life. Then Anuruddha, just as how a dish of boiled winter rice, this is really good rice, winter rice, free of black grain, served with various gravies and various curries of a householder or a householder's son would seem to them. Even so, a meal of alms scraps, okay, pindya lopa bhojana, will be to you very simple food that he gets from what the poor and the people in the village would give him, and he's very happy eating those. Like the king's meal. Like that is the joy of the one in deep, who does deep meditation of jhana. So this is the benefit of the reflection on the 8 thoughts that lead to jhanas. So first Buddha talks about robes, then about alms food, and third it talks about lodging, 10.2. Then Anuruddha, just as how a gabled house, upper chamber of a householder or householder's son, with walls plastered within and without, protected from the wind, secured with bars and with windows shuttered, would seem to them. So this is this really rich and comfortable house. Even so, your 3-foot lodging will be to you. Okay, there's a bit of humor here also, right? The Buddha says, look, all these lay people with their amazing houses, right? They think they're happy, but here you, with your meditation, you're happy with your open air 3-foot dwelling, 3-foot lodging, okay? And you'll be contented, you'll be delighted, you'll be happy because you are reaching nirvana, okay? So this is the third support of life, yeah? And then next, then Anuruddha, just as how a couch spread with long furred rugs, embroidered white woolen sheets, choice spreads of antelope hide, a red canopy, and crimson double rest pillows and bolsters. In other words, of a householder or a householder's son would seem to them. So there is really luxurious, very comfortable, very soft pillows and cushions. Even so, your straw seat and bed, very simple, just dry grass, straw seat and bed will be to you. So imagine this monk in the forest is very happy, very contented. All right. Now we come to the 5th support. Usually there are 4 here. The Buddha added in this seat here. All right. So then Anuruddha, just as how the various medicines of a householder or a householder's son, namely ghee, butter, oil, honey, and cane sugar, would seem to them, even so your medicine of fermented cow's urine will be to you. Okay, this fermented cow's urine is permitted by the Buddha for the forest monks to use. So it is a very simple kind of ointment. I think the main ingredient there is this ammonia, I think. So what they do, I often smile when I think how they make this medicine. They have to collect urine from the cow and they put in a container, and then you have to bury it. I think you bury it and then it will ferment, and then after a certain time you use it. Some people in Burma and India have written about this. So if you research fermented cow's urine online, you find quite some interesting stuff there. So the monks do not have much medicine, and this is one of the things that they are allowed. And by the way, the Pali Vinaya, the monastic system of the Buddha, is very well versed in traditional medicine. In fact, the Ayurveda medicine started with the Buddhists because the monks had to take care of themselves. They live alone in a deep forest, so if they get sick, they really need to take care of themselves because there's no one around. So the most basic medicine is cow's urine, but later on other things are allowed, like myrobalan and so on, things like that. So they know all this. Really, in India, you got lots of trees and plants and many of these medicinal plants. So imagine these forest monks have all these things and they live quite happily, contentedly with this joyful uh, availability of all these things. All right, let's go further down. Okay, so therefore, Anuruddha, you may spend the next rains retreat right here in the bamboo grove, Piya Park, amongst the Chitty people. So the Buddha feels Anuruddha is ready, he can meditate. So Anuruddha says, yes, Bhante. And he's going to stay there. And the Chitty people are going to be very happy to have him. Then the Blessed One, having thus admonished the Venerable Anuruddha, just as a strong man would stretch his flexed arm or would flex his stretched arm and vanish from the eastern bamboo grove. And it goes back to where he was in the Visakala forest. Okay. The Blessed One sat down on the prepared seat. This time he's back in the gathering, and then he teaches all these 8 thoughts to the monks. Notice here. So here you have a very interesting way the teachings are repeated so that the audience hears again the teaching. So now the Buddha teaches the 8 thoughts to the monks. Okay, these are the 8 thoughts, 1 to 8, everything's. Yeah, I'm not going to read them just to save time. So let's go down and see what happens next. Go down, please. Yeah, okay. So now the Buddha is going to explain each of these in terms of meditation. Right? 16. So you notice 1 here refers to the first of the 8 thoughts. This Dharma bhikshus is for one of few wishes, not for one with many wishes. So it is on account of what is this said? Here bhikshus among being one of few wishes does not wish to be known as one of few wishes. There you are, you see, a bit more humor. He has few wishes, so he doesn't even want people to know he has few wishes. Of course, here the Buddha is teaching us this thing, so we kind of know. And you find a monk doesn't go around with a kind of like a name card and say, look, I have a few wishes, he doesn't do that, right? He doesn't have to announce this. By his looks, by his speech, Being contented, he does not wish to be known as one contented. Being reclusive, he does not wish to be known as one reclusive. In other words, you look at him, you know he's reclusive. He doesn't have to say, I'm a recluse, right? Putting forth effort or being energetic, he does not wish to be known as one putting forth effort. Being one with mindfulness established, he does not wish to be known as one with mindfulness established. Being mentally focused, he does not wish to be known as one mentally focused. Now, this makes good sense. If you're mentally focused and you go around telling people about it, you're not focused, right? So you don't have to say it. Being wise, he does not wish to be known as one who is wise. Rejoicing in the mind's non-proliferating, he does not wish to be known as one rejoicing in the mind's non-proliferating. So the point here is, in other words, is that the idea of training, meditating, practice is for your personal development. It's not about having a name card with all those titles and qualifications and going around and say, hey, I have this, and wanting people to come to you and build a temple as a monastery and so on and so forth. So it's just being happy for yourself just as you are. Okay, next. This is number 2 here, brackets 2. This Dharma issue is for the contented, not for the discontented. So it is said. On what accounts is said? Okay, here the Buddha explains what is meant by a contented monk. Let's go further down. Okay. He's contented with any kind of robe, alms, food, lodging, medicine, support, and necessities for the sick. This Dharma bhikshus for the contented, not for the discontented, right? And then number 3, this Dharma is for one in solitude, for the reclusive, not for one who delights socializing. So it is said, what does it mean? Here, bhikshus, a monk lives in solitude, and there are those who come, laymen, levymen, kings, royalties, in other words, royal ministers and household members, sectarian teachers, disciples, sectarian teachers, all kinds of people come to see him, to see the monk. There and then the monk, with his mind bent on solitude, leaning towards solitude, inclined towards solitude, established in solitude, delighting in renunciation, speaks to them, talk that is a support for them, and with a view of dismissing them. Notice that this is in brackets, okay? In brackets, that means they're kind of connected, and it's part of the previous idea. Talk that is a support to them, as well as in the case of the monk, in the case of Anuruddha, he teaches them so that they'll go away, right? That's how we was putting it. But not wishing them to go away, just saying, well, okay, they know this thing, and having understood this, they will go away happily, and then I'll be able to go back to my practice, that kind of idea. Right? This Dharma bhikshu is for one in solitude, for the reclusive, not for one who delights in socializing. So here you see how the Buddha explains this very beautifully. Whenever a really good monk teaches, he tells you just enough, you're very happy, and then that's it. He's not going to talk about football or about some gambling place in the highland. He just tells you, okay, that's it, and then you just smile, keeps quiet, and okay, that's it, you have got what you want, and time to bow down and say thank you and go away, so that the monk can go back to his practice. So this is the idea here for this kind of monk. Okay? 4. This Dharma bhikshus is for one who puts forth effort, the energetic, not for the indolent, the lazy. So it is said, what does this mean? Here, bhikshus, a monk dwells putting forth effort, set upon abandoning unwholesome states, promoting wholesome states. He is steadfast, firm in exerting himself, not shirking from his task in regards to wholesome states. Doesn't give up. Okay. This Dharma bhikshus for one who puts forth effort, not for the indolent, the lazy. So this is why it is said. Right? It doesn't give up. Right. 5. This Dharma bhikshus is for one established in mindfulness, not for one of confused mind. What does this mean? Okay, here bhikshus, a monk is mindful, possessing excellent mindfulness and penetration. Mind sees deep into situation, to states, into people, who remembers and recalls what was done long ago, what was spoken long ago. So they have good memory. Okay. Now, the amazing thing, for example, in the case of the Buddha, he doesn't have dementia at all because he's a deep meditator. So as a rule, these arhats never have dementia. Okay, so their minds are clear right to the end. This Dharma bhikshus for one who establishes mindfulness. In this sense, the mind is always clear, not confused. 6. This Dharma bhikshus is for one in samadhi, mental concentration, not for one without samadhi. What does this mean? Okay, here the Buddha talks about the jhanas. So This monk attains the first jhana, and then I already mentioned to you, right? The second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. And he's very happy attaining this jhana, which brings him joy and peace. Okay, so that's the meaning of secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states. He's in samadhi, right? Attaining jhana, so that he lives happily here and now. Okay, further down, please. All right, so these are the 4 jhanas. And then number 7, this Dharma which is for the wise, not the foolish. Here, wise means what? Is wise regarding the rising and falling of phenomena, of states, of things, leading to the total destruction of suffering. So he sees impermanence. This is the meaning of wisdom. Okay, number 7. Number 8 is the last one. Okay, let's go down further and look at number 8, non-proliferation, right? For one who rejoices in the mind's non-proliferating, who delights in the mind's proliferate. So here you have rejoicing, and here you have delighting. They are kind of synonyms. So here the idea is joy. By letting go of all this explosion of thoughts, the meditator feels joy. Okay, he rejoices in the mind's non-proliferating. So Anuruddha is very happy. He meditates. Then in the following rains retreat, the Venerable Anuruddha stayed in Eastern Bamboo Grove, Deer Park, amongst the Cheti people. And then the Venerable Anuruddha, dwelling alone, aloof, diligent, exertive, and resolute. Further down, he's doing his meditation, in other words, okay? In no long time at all, right here and now, having realized it for himself through direct knowledge, attain and dwell in the supreme goal of the holy life, for the sake of which sons of family rightly go forth from the household life into homelessness. People renounce to attain this state. Birth is destroyed. The holy life has been lived. Done what has to be done. There is no more of this state of being. The Venerable Anuruddha became one of the arhats. So Anuruddha is very happy, and this is his verse. He says, the teacher peerless in the world knew my thought. With a mind-made body through psychic power, he came to me. All right, so the Buddha projected himself appear to Anuruddha. It is almost like us now. We are projecting to each other our own hologram. And whatever was my thought, he showed me beyond that. Well, that's amazing, isn't it? Whatever was my thought, he showed me beyond that. The Buddha, delighting in non-proliferation, taught non-proliferation. Through knowing the Dharma, I dwelt joyfully in the teaching. The 3 knowledges I've won, done is the Buddha's teaching. So here, Anuruddha knows his own past lives. He knows the past life of others, how their karma, they fare according to their karma, and he has overcome all the defilements and becomes an arhat. And the sutta, the beautiful sutta, ends here. Okay, now I've gone a few minutes, 1 minute beyond the time, but it's okay. Our time is flexible. So if you do have questions, let's have them now.
Sadhu Piya for the teaching. Now we have a Q&A. Sister, I think, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Ratna. Thank you, Brother Piya, for the teaching.
Okay.
Okay, let me read out the first question from Sister Helene.
Sure.
Arahant is said can be either liberated by wisdom or liberated both ways. Just wonder if these 2 types of Arahant must attain the liberation of mind or Chato Vimutti before the awakening.
Oh, yeah, this is quite a difficult question. let me try see if I can answer it correctly. First of all, of course, the monk needs to go into some kind of deep meditation, or at least able to clear the mind of defilements. So even if the monk cannot go into deep jhanas, the monk can attain, the meditator can attain certain level of calmness, and then there is this breakthrough. It's like you listen to the teaching, like today's teaching, you say, oh, now I understand it. And so your mind is clear in that way. Your mind is free in that way. I understand it. So it's different from your mind before. So they have this clear wisdom, but no jhanas, no superpowers, and so on, you know. So my understanding is they do not have that knowledge of past lives, I think, but they have the third knowledge, that knowledge of the clearing up of all the defilements. But those great arahats of the Buddha's time, the 80 disciples, they are liberated both ways. They also have all those great powers, the three knowledges, including mind reading, things like that. Okay, this part needs a little deeper research, because we were talking about the mind of arahats, so you can imagine how difficult that is to talk about, right? So we could be wrong. We're just talking on theory. Okay, if I'm arahat, yeah, I can tell you, okay, I do this. Okay.
Thank you, Brother Piya. The next question from Sister Shuli.
Yeah.
Does the 8 thoughts outlined in this sutta some sort like to prepare for the liberation of mind, or Chato Vimutti?
Notice when you read the sutta, the 8 thoughts lead straight into jhana. So the idea is to clear the mind away from socializing, from thinking this and that, right? Yes, the answer is yes. Okay. So I mean, it's wonderful just to read it, and you find you become happy and contented just reading the 8 great thoughts. It helps you to find a strong foundation in yourself, just being yourself. But remember, we don't hate people because of this. So remember, there's a section in the sutta where this monk welcomes people visit him, because when they know there's this wonderful monk in the forest, they will come and see him, they question him. And so what he does is he does answer them, but he answers just enough and then dismisses them. So that what your jeti, it means to inspire the other party and also to dismiss them. In other words, they're not going to socialize and spend time, unless they want to meditate there. Okay. All right. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Brother Piya. There's no more question in the chat box. Any brother and sister would like to ask question verbally? You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
It's your chance. We have extra minutes. Yeah. Anything you're not sure from the study today? There are still notes you can read by yourself so that you can revise and integrate what you have learned today.
Brother Piya.
Yeah.
Namo Buddhaya. You mentioned the 3 knowledges, and it was also cited in the Anuruddha's verse. The 3 knowledges, what are they?
The sketchu, is it?
Yes.
Sorry, the key question again?
The 3 knowledges. You
Oh,
mentioned it in, yeah.
the 3 knowledges, yeah, they're very well known. Te Vijja. The first is this, the Buddha is able to recollect his own, these arahats are able to recollect their own past lives. So they know who they were, why they are like this now, and so on. So they know their own past lives. That's the first one. Okay. Pubene wasanusati jnana. Okay. Knowledge of past life. This affirms rebirth. Okay. And then the second knowledge is Chutupatta jnana. Okay. Chutu or chuti rather, meaning to die, and upapatta means to be reborn. So this is the knowledge of other beings, other people. Sometimes this is called the divine eye. Divine eye. Okay. So with this knowledge, the arhat, the Buddha, is able to know the rebirth of others. He can go back hundreds of thousands of births through many cycles of world cycles. So he's able to know, okay, who or what this person was before, what happened and why it's like that now. So, and this affirms the truth of karma. So the first two knowledges affirm karma and rebirth. And then the third knowledge is that of the destruction of the influxes, asava. The asava basically, first is he overcomes sensual desires, all right? And then second is views, existence, ignorance. These four, and then it becomes an arhat. Actually, this asavas is a summary of the 10 sangyojanas, the 10 fetters, according to the 3 paths, or the four paths, so the 10 fetters. So this one you can read up. We've done it before. Read up in our little dictionary, the index. You find the 10 fetters. Otherwise, you can message us. We'll send to you the reference. You can look up for yourself. Okay?
Yeah, got that.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other question? Well, I think we can end for today, no? Well, I'm very happy. I've also nearly completed volume 61C. Just 2 more suttas to go. And right now, I was going to get the volume on Mara ready, because there's a lot of proofreading we have to do with it, because it is a long essay. And finally, we get it is, I think, just a couple of weeks' time should be ready. Okay, so just can request it if you want. All right, so no more urgent questions, huh? Do you have any last minute urgent questions? Okay, so let us once again recollect this wonderful moment that we have come together from various countries and places. Imagine the Buddha was doing all this, projecting himself holographically long ago, but here we are doing it ourselves so that we can get together to study the Dharma. We're using modern technology, and this is something we can use to gain wisdom. Remember this wonderful moment. It's a moment of renunciation. You have spent about 1.5 hours. You have renounced that time for the Dharma. You have recited the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts. You have done your meditation and asked Dharma questions, listen to answers, listen to suttas. Now do this reflection. By this good deed I've done, may I be well and happy. Whatever good wishes you have for yourself and for your near and dear ones, and your kind thoughts to them. This is a wonderful time to send out your loving kindness to people who matter to you. Even people you have hurt or people who are hurting you. This is the time to heal them and be healed, to be well, to be happy. And most of all, we rejoice in the knowledge that we are still able to keep in touch with the Buddha, the Dharma, and work for the path of the noble Sangha. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Bow down. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Bow down to the Dhamma. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Bow down to the Sangha. Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.